Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, and X. And for the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. And that's just a sampling. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. For laptops, mobile phones, and tablets, download the Roku app. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
This show is brought to you by BetUS.com. 125% off your first 3 deposits, 30 years experience, secure site, wagering for all sports, including during the games and futures. SeatGeek provides you the best prices on sports and music events, game tickets, and concerts. Use NSS promo code to get $20 off your first ticket. Keep using the NSS promo code when purchasing tickets for great deals in the future. In Fanatics at nessp.info for your favorite teams, sportswear. Click on the link, and while you're there, check out our national streaming sports merchandise. There you go, Zodiac TV. Welcome all to the viewers that are watching or will be watching on Zodiac TV. I don't thank them enough for tuning in and watching the show. Real quick, Bobby, SeatGeek. Yeah, I mean, I know me personally, I think you do too, that when you go on, you want to get a ticket to, say, a game. Not the Giants now, but before you probably would have wanted to go see the Giants in the beginning of the season to see how they do. Right. And all you got to do is you put it on an NSS promo. And then when you're ready to check out with your ticket, you hit the NSS promo button again. And what happens is, they track you when you come back on. So they're going to offer you great deals. So like if you want to go see a concert, I don't know who you like in music, if it's a rock band or big band or, country, whatever it is, they have tickets, best prices on the tickets there too. So be sure, people out there, when you do go to SeatGeek, keep hitting that code even when you go to check out. And last but not least, Fanatics. I don't have my Giant shirt on today, Bobby. And I mean, do you see what I'm holding up here, Bobby? I'm going to hold it up so everyone can see. It's my crying towel. Now I do have one, and I gotta wipe my eyes as we get absolutely embarrassed, Bobby. I mean, let's start with the score, which was 20-17, Bob, and it's a lot similar to a lot of the other scores we've been having, Bobby, this year.
Well, we're actually, I think, 3 points over our average of 14. So that's looking at the glass half full. We still are struggling to get above 20 points from an offensive standpoint. And on defense, we can't stop the run. Everyone runs on us. I mean, Hubbard's still running. I think there's another 5 yards he just gained again. It was fourth and 4, and he gained 5 yards for a first down.
Yes, he did.
So, if you look at Hubbard's last 3 games, he was, middle of the road, 44 yards, 50 yards, 49 yards, something in that range. Against the Giants, he had over 100 yards almost in the first quarter.
Yeah.
So, and he ended up with 180-something yards rushing against us. It seems like anytime Dexter Lawrence is not in the lineup and he's on the sidelines, anyone and everyone can run against the Giants, which is surprising to me because I really thought coming into the season, our defense was going to be a little more stout up front. I thought our linebackers were better. I thought besides Dexy, we had other players on the defensive line that could make plays. I was wrong. Burns can't do it all by himself. He's becoming the face of our defense. If you want to be the face of that defense, I'm not sure you do. But with him and Lawrence, after him and Lawrence on the defensive side of the ball, there's not really much more to talk about. So, in this game, it just kind of capsulized that of what we've seen over the last few weeks. You can make plays, and you can make plays in the air against the Giants. I mean, Bryce Young was benched a few weeks back. This was his second game back. So he's 2-0 coming off the bench right now. And he really, and in the beginning, he seemed to hit everything he wanted to hit. He came back to earth a little bit in the second half against our defense. But in the first half, he made plays. Hubbard made plays. We couldn't stop him. We can't tackle. We can't defend the pass. You can run on us all day long. I'm surprised the score was as close as it was, to be honest with you. So, again, when you always say this, they bend but don't break. The Giants defense, again, bent but didn't break.
I'm looking at the stats, kind of the overview here. We blew a lot of opportunities. There was a couple times that it looked like Jones had people wide open, especially in a flea flicker pass, and he wouldn't let it go. He wouldn't let the pass go. He's standing there. And I don't know why. They're so wide open. He could have threw it almost in the area, and they would have had a shot at catching it. I don't know why he didn't do that. I know what he's seeing out there right now. One of the two interceptions were awful. I mean, he hit the guy off the helmet. I mean, he didn't try to move. He didn't fake pump him and keep moving. It's something that if you have a good quarterback, they know what to do. As you mentioned, Young had 126 yards and a touchdown, and Hubbard just ran right through us. But Daniel Jones, I've never been a big backer of Jones, right? I thought his first year he was pretty good. I think that year that he took him to the playoffs, he did a decent job. A lot of that was Saquon Barkley. But they got to do something at quarterback, Bobby, and I don't know what they can do. I mean, I don't like Brock. I mentioned to my co-host on Mac and Jack, Tommy DeVito. He thinks he's not the answer. He's probably not. I mean, what else do you do? They keep playing the guy. I mean, I would have to seriously think about sitting him.
No, I'll be shocked if he's the starting quarterback. Now, I don't know. I mean, Drew Lock, he's not. He doesn't inspire me. I would probably go to DeVito. I don't know what Dable's going to do because he's going to be coaching for his life over the next few weeks. And, I was looking at the schedule today, some of the games coming up, and there's not after the Dallas game, it's just a crucible of teams fighting for playoff spots or playoff teams. We have to play the Eagles again. So, at the quarterback situation is about as muddled as it gets. Jones did have, as you mentioned, his rookie year, he had 24 touchdown passes. He has not had more than 15. Now, I know he was hurt last year, but any other given season, he has had more than 15 touchdown passes since his rookie season when he threw 24. And we all thought, look at this. They call him Danny Dimes. He's dropping passes in. He had a phenomenal rookie season. He had a really good year, and I thought we had our answer there. But, as time tells, and, I know Jack's a big Jets fan. They're going to be looking for their third quarterback in the last 4 or 5 years coming up in the draft. So, I mean, it's a hard position to find. It's a coach killer, and he's a coach killer, and he just is, and he may be a GM killer. I don't know. And we were talking before we came on about if they're going to think about blowing it up. I don't know if that's. I know Merrick craves stability. I know he sees the Steelers, and I think there's some family connection with the Rooneys, and he sees the Steelers as the model of. They seem to have patience with their coaches. patience with their general managers. And I think that's what Mara kind of gets. He draws from that a little bit and wants that type of stability for the Giants. But I don't know how if he goes to 10 losses and 2 wins in 12 games, all bets are off from that point on. From that 12 game on point, I think that the Mara might go a couple different ways. And of course, we don't really talk about Tisch too much. I mean, he's 50% owner in the organization. Now I know he's in Hollywood and he does his movies and he's a producer out there, and that's great. So he's kind of more of a silent partner, but he still owns 50% of the organization. So he can still say, hey, we need to make some changes here. And I know we just did it a few years ago, but I want to make changes again. And Mara will have to sit down and listen to him.
Yeah, I know Tisch has said when there's a big decision to be made, he normally talks to Mara and they both come out normally together with the decision. Last couple of times that I can remember anyway, that's what they did. I agree with you, Bobby. I don't know what good I know the play that we have some decent players. We have some good players, right? Like we did in the 70s. We got some good players, but there's no chemistry. There's no. There's no. I mean, our defense, as you said, the running defense looked terrible. Burns had a good game. There's a good player. I didn't hear our middle linebacker's name mentioned. O'Keefe. Kira. I didn't hear his name.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't hear his name mentioned at all. And our defensive backs, I know they're young, but listen, they're young, but they've been practicing with the team all year. It's not like they just, scooped them up off the street and said, hey, get in here and play. So They know what's going on. Our defensive coordinator, our offensive coordinator, which is Dable, it doesn't look good. None of it looks good.
It's kind of reminding me of when kind of everything went south for Coughlin, and at the time Mara decided that, well, Coughlin has to go, but Jerry Reese can stay. And I thought that was the bad move at the time. And I don't want to do revisionist history here, but I thought if Coughlin goes, then Reese goes with him. So I don't know if he's going to have that type of, Dable goes and Shane stays, and then Shane gets to pick his quarterback and he gets to maybe do a redo with the head coach. And that way there's still some stability in Mara's mind in the organization. But really, I think, as I said, at that 12th game, if we're 2-10, it might happen right then. But I hope not. I kind of let them finish the season up. Let them make some smart choices and some smart decisions. I know I'm getting way ahead of myself, and we've got a few more weeks to talk about until we get to the end of the year, and I'm sure we'll talk about that on one of our wrap-up shows towards the end of the season. But right now, there's no identity. They don't have an identity, and I know without an identity of a football team, you don't know who you are. Then you really don't have. In my mind, in my estimation. Without that, you're probably set up for failure. Without, whether you're a running team or you're a passing team or you're a defensive team or our linebackers get after it, or you can't throw against you can't throw against our safeties and our corners. We don't have an identity. Anybody can do everything they want against us. It doesn't matter.
That's the truth.
It doesn't matter. Without that, the late great John Madden said, without an identity, you don't have a football team.
Very true. And all those viewers that are seeing this now and we'll see this later, me and Bobby are both not wearing our Giants shirts today. We are boycotting the Giants for at least 1 week. Maybe it's not enough, but we're doing it anyway. So I got the trivia question lined up for you here, Bobby. And this is a tough one. I don't expect you to get this, but it's a learning process too, Bobby. We are here to educate people at the Giants.
Correct.
What was the name of the Giants' first opponent for their first home game? So we're looking for the team name of the opponent that actually played the Giants in their first home game. So,
Ever.
we're going way back.
1920s.
Yes.
Because we're 100 years old today, so this year. So
Happy birthday. Yes, we are.
we're 100 years old. So yeah. So that's all the way back. And I can assure you, I don't know this answer, but I have a good guess.
Really? Okay, that'll
Yeah.
be great. That'll be great. We'll save that for the end of the show, and we'll talk a little bit about our spotlight player right now. And we're Giant fans, yes, and we kind of think about these players that should be in the Hall of Fame, but this guy here, Bobby, and you mentioned before the show, there is no reason on earth that this guy should not be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, he has some Giant records still. I mean, he has more championships than Phil Simms. He has more accolades than a lot of quarterbacks in his time. And I don't know why that he's not in the Hall of Fame. And Bob, his name is Chuckin Charlie Connerly.
That's right. And he's from. He played. He played at Ole Miss, I believe.
Yes.
His collegiate career back in the 1940s. There he is, number 42, which is a cool number for a quarterback. I kind of wish they'd bring back those large numbers for quarterbacks.
I do too.
He left college to join the Marines in World War II. Fought in the South Pacific. Came back from the war, World War II, went back to college, finished up a great college career. I want to say he was fourth in the Heisman Trophy balloting of that senior year. Won all kinds of SEC accolades and accomplishments and most valuable players and all kinds of great. I mean, he racked up everything you would want to do as a college player without winning the Heisman Trophy. The Giants drafted him in the 13th round, which back then they had rounds, and looking at his college, even then, that didn't seem to me that he got a lot of, love from anyone, because the career he had in college, and he's a 13th round draft pick, where looking at his stats, he'd be one of the top 5 picks with his stats right now. If the draft, he was 22 years old coming out of Ole Miss, that's certainly what he would be. You mentioned about some of his highlights in the NFL. He comes to the Giants. The Giants the year before were 2 wins and 10 losses, and I think a tie, something like that. His rookie season, he brings them back to the playoffs. He has his rookie stats are so off the charts and so good. It took someone named Dan Marino to break him his rookie season.
Yeah.
So that shows you what type of rookie season he had. We all remember Dan Marino coming out of Pitt, and he just lit the NFL on fire as a rookie. Well, that's what Charlie did too. From in the late 1948, I believe it was his first year. I normally don't like to read stats, but there's so many here that I can't remember. And I don't want to do him injustice by forgetting some of these stats that he had. First off, there's 16 quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame today. He has better stats than all 16 of them do.
Yeah.
16. So that's crazy. He played in an era with Johnny Unitas, Bobby Lane, Norm Van Brocklin.
Yeah.
And he held his own against all these guys. They're all Hall of Famers. And his stats were just as good as their stats were when he played. And actually, the Giants were 2-8-2. I was a little wrong there. I said 2-10. Additionally, you mentioned he won 4 championships. In today's modern NFL, you win 2 champions, you win 2 Super Bowls, that's a ticket to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
He won 4. He won one in 56, 58, 56, 57, 58. He lost against the greatest game ever played, Johnny Unitas, MVP. Well, Charlie was on the other side of that playing for the Giants, and his stats were better for the game. He actually, now he didn't throw as much as Unitas did in that game, but his stats were better. And he won in 61. So those are his 4 championships. That alone should propel him into the Hall of Fame. But there's a couple things. There's actually some more stuff here that he did. At 38 years old, he played till he was 40. At 38 years old, he had the best passer rating at 107. At the time, it was a record. It stood for 50 years until Brett Favre broke it. So these are some things that I'm reading through these things today, and I'm wondering to myself, how is this guy not in the Hall of Fame? Now, unfortunately, Charlie's passed away. I know he's on the Veterans Committee. He was on it last year, 24. He didn't make it. I'm assuming he'll be on the Veterans Committee again for 25, for the 25 Hall of Fame class. I hope to God he makes it because he deserves it. If there's a quarterback that ever played in this game, Wellington Mara, during the last years of his life, said Charlie Connelly is the best football player not in the Hall of Fame he's ever seen.
Listen, I mean, what the guy did was tremendous. I kind of remember them, and I don't remember that. I remember reading about them beating the Bears 47-7. That's when they were the monsters of the Midway. I mean, he was NFL MVP in 59, 2-time All-Pro, and as you said, the passing leader of all time until Brett Favre beat that. I think maybe, Bobby, they're holding back because of the cigarettes. And, he was the Marlboro Man for a while.
He was the Marlboro. He rode up to sunset. He came to Marlboro Man on TV.
Yes, and I think because of that at the time and now, the way people look on smoking, maybe that's what's holding him up. I don't understand it because there are guys that would smoke on the field during the game that are also in the Hall of Fame. Don Meredith comes right to mind. But I think because he was in all those commercials and stuff, and maybe that's it. But that should not prevent him from getting in the Hall of Fame.
I agree. I mean, Sammy Bond used to say, he would come on the field and they would smell his breath. And they'd say, Sammy, what, were you out last night? He goes, no, I just had a couple pops at halftime.
Right.
So, so why? And he's in the Hall of Fame. Right. So, why in the same era as Connolly's up. But Connolly, we were talking about it too, is Y.A. Tittle and him kind of went back and forth as the quarterback too during that time period. So that hurt him. Maybe that's hurt him a little bit because Y.A. had something to do with some of the championships. I don't know.
Y.A. was very popular. That's the quarterback my dad talked about more. I should say our dad talked about more during his time watching the Giants. Because he's the bald eagle. He came from San Fran. He threw the ball crazy up in the air. And when he came from the 49ers, and he was a very outgoing, popular guy. Connolly, as a football player, was pretty quiet. He just went about and did his job. And I think, maybe it did hurt him a little bit. We talked about that photograph of him kneeling on the field, looking like he just got beat up by about 5 guys. I think Pittsburgh Steelers just tore him up that game. And that's a picture that's always I see it on the internet today, and that's an old picture. So maybe a combination, Bobby, of the of the smoking and just the popularity of Y.A. Tittle. Maybe that's holding back. But again, so what? The guy's numbers are the guy's numbers, and what you do on the field is what you do on the field.
I agree. I know, and looking at his stats. Like I said, I mean, enough said. When you look at 16 Hall of Famers who played quarterback and his stats are better, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. So I don't know. Maybe all the above you're talking about, Mac. I don't know. I'm not sure, but he definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And we've talked about other Giants, and we'll talk about more Giants from the Hall of Famers around in. But we've talked about him in the past. But of the ones we've talked about so far.
Number one.
The last few weeks, he is heads and shoulders above them as far as just putting up the numbers he did during a really a long career. Played till he was 40 years old.
Yeah,
he put up the passer rating at 38 years old.
Yeah, so, and all for the Giants too. He didn't come from anywhere. He was Giants all the way through. So I agree. I think he's in the Giants Hall of Fame or Ring of Honor or whatever they got there.
Yes.
But he definitely needs to be in the Hall of Fame. So we got the worst coaching list, and this guy, I'm sure if you've been around the Giants, even it's for not as long as me and Bobby have 50 years at peace, 100 years between us. But, Bobby, leave it to a McAdoo, right? I don't even know what McAdoo or if it's McAdoo, if he's Irish or Scottish. I mean, I don't want to put down the Irish guys because I'm Irish and but I'm not sure what he is, but he was an offensive coordinator, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see, under Tom Coughlin, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And
so he comes over. Go ahead. I'm sorry, John.
No, I want you to go ahead.
Okay. So he comes over from Green Bay, where he's kind of got Brett Favre's ear, and Brett Favre has his ear, and he's kind of talked about how he helped Brett Favre become who he is during that stage of his career. But he starts off, though, really as a quality control coach with the Saints. He works his way through a couple different systems, and in college too. So he kind of goes back and forth from college to the pros. He's in San Francisco. He kind of works his way to being a tight end coach, and works his way up to a quarterback coach. But he was never a offensive coordinator until Tom Coughlin hired him away from the Green Bay Packers. And Green Bay at the time had an outstanding offense, and as I mentioned, he was highly, highly recommended by the Jets quarterback. He said he must have a lot of juice because he has the ears of all kinds of GMs and player personnel people in different offices, obviously. So he comes over to the Giants, and we talked about Coughlin a little while ago about maybe does he when Reese decides to move on from Coughlin, Reese doesn't go outside the organization. He decides to elevate McAdoo to that position. And McAdoo had a great first year, 11-5.
Yeah.
Yeah, 11-5. So, almost like Daniel Jones's first year, 24 touchdown passes. So McAdoo comes in, he's 11-5. He has a great beginning, and the wheels fell off. And I don't know if it was because of the Manning situation. When he benches Manning, he breaks Manning's, that the all-time start. What's that called? The Iron Man's type of award that he was getting every year because he never missed a game. And I don't know if that was his downfall, but he didn't win a lot of football games after his first year.
No, he did not. And from what I got anyway, he started 0-5, did replace Geno Smith, and Manny did have 210 games at 2-10. Him and Reese were both fired. That's what I got. Now maybe that's not true. Maybe I misread it.
No, they were both fired. But when they moved on from Coughlin,
right,
Reese kept his job. So okay. I thought at that time, if you were going to move on from Coughlin, then you had to move on from Reese.
Right.
And as I mentioned earlier, how that scenario might play out with Shane, with Shane and Dable in the coming weeks. Mara is a very loyal man, and Jerry Reese came from that Ernie Accorsi type of tree, and was Ernie Accorsi, ran Ernie Accorsi's draft. So I'm sure Mara had a big spot in his heart for him. And for whatever reason, he decided to move on from Coughlin. And at the time, I thought they had to move out together, but they didn't.
Yeah.
So as I said, Reese then decides not to go outside the organization. He taps McAdoo as the successor to Coughlin, and the wheels fell off. And yes, he ends up going with McAdoo after a couple of years.
I recall that they were talking to Eli after the move and asked him, was he willing to be the second string quarterback? And Eli's like, no, I'm a starting quarterback. And I think he was ready to go to another team. And I think the pressure of that, plus all the public pressure from, pulling Eli and all that stuff, that's when, Mara said, hey, listen, we're sorry, dude, you got to go. I mean, you're asking a a Super Bowl quarterback, 2-time Super Bowl quarterback, if he would be willing to back up Geno Smith, and that wasn't going to happen. So very interesting. Great job with that, Bobby. Yeah, there's coaches that we're going to get to, as I keep promising everybody out there. We're going to start talking about. In fact, next week, folks, we kind of, like I said, we boycotted the Giants show with not wearing our jerseys this week, but I think I got a jersey or a jacket or something. I think it's a jersey from the '86 Giants. And I'm going to see if I can find that and put it on for next week, because we're going to start talking about good days when the Giants, actually had a team that was dangerous on both sides of the ball, especially defensively, and they ended up rocking all the way to the Super Bowl and beating Denver 39-20. So that's going to be fun next week, Bobby. We're going to
I'll have my Lawrence Taylor jersey on for that one.
There you go. All right, cool. All right. So we got that out of the way as far as the worst coaches. Let's get to the NFC East games. Of course, the Giants are part of the NFC East, so we have to talk about them and what's going on. Not that the Giants are going to catch any of these teams. Maybe Dallas. They might catch Dallas. Who knows? I mean,
Dallas only has one more win, so and actually Dallas and Giants are coming up in a couple of weeks, so that's the only game I could see on the schedule that they would have a shot at winning. But that's in Dallas. It's on Thanksgiving, I believe, right? Is that Thanksgiving game?
You're right. I think you're right. Yes.
And so that's a Thanksgiving game, which is kind of strange because this will be the Giants' second Thursday night game or Thursday game.
Yes.
Which is unusual.
Well, the Eagles ended up kicking the Cowboys' butts all over the field. I mean, 34-6. It looks like Jalen Hurts is coming. He's getting better. He's getting better as the season goes on. It looks like despite the head coach, everything is coming together as far as chemistry goes. I think Saquon Barkley is a big part of that. He's a leader on and off the field. He gets the team all excited and wanting to play. He's kind of put his arm around Jalen Hurts, is what I saw on the sidelines. He's it's your team. I know it's your team, and Jalen Hurts says I think he knows it's his team too. So I think it's like a co-captain thing going on there. But the Eagles beat him in every way, Bobby. Defensively, offensively, they put Cooper Rush in. They put Trey Lance in. They called me to see if I wanted to go in. I told them I was good. So I mean, they were ready to throw anybody in there. And of course, now you have discourse on the team. And we'll get to the game in a second. When your star defensive pass rusher comes out and says, I think it's time for the coach to move on. The head coach to move on in the press. If I'm the coach, I might sit his ass down. You don't disrupt this locker room any make it any worse than what it is, dude. You don't do that. I don't care who you are. And you got to think about the teammates before you make these statements in the press. Talk about it in the locker room. Talk about it with the owner. Talk about it with a GM, whatever. You don't do that in the press, Bobby.
I agree. Did the coach have 5 turnovers? I mean, that had 5 turnovers.
Yeah.
It was a very sloppy game by the Cowboys. And, and I don't know what the game plan was. We're not privy to that. But, if you have 5 turnovers, I don't care how well your game plan is. I don't care how well coached you are. I don't care how well prepared you are. 5 turnovers in an NFL game is not going to win. You're not going to win many games like that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter who the coach is. Vince Lombardi could be the coach, and you're not going to win that game. Yeah. 5 turnovers against a team that has playmakers all over the field. I mean, Parsons is a hell of a football player. I mean, the Giants actually, if Gettleman, that's one of his mistakes, I think, when he actually could have drafted Parsons. He chose not to. But that's beside the point. But Parsons saying that, you said it, as far as dissension in the ranks. I know we're talking about NFC East teams right now, but back to the Giants, it wouldn't shock me if that starts happening too on our team. That's time to talk about that another time. But the Cowboys are a sloppy team. They don't tackle well. Their offensive line doesn't play well. They don't have, another team. When you thought about the Dallas Cowboys, you go back to Emmitt Smith and Ezekiel Elliott. They were a running football team. And you just needed to if the quarterback needed to make some nice plays, and you can lean on that running game, and you can win a lot of football games with that offensive line. So everybody knew who the Dallas Cowboys were. They had an identity. They were a running football team. Just like the Giants we talked about earlier. I don't know what the Dallas Cowboy identity is.
Yeah.
They're not very good defensively. They're not very good offensively. They make a lot of mistakes. I know they're young on the offensive line. They've got a couple rookies starting now. That's going to hurt too, but they have no identity. And when you don't have an identity, you have three or four wins in the NFL at this juncture. And you could probably look at any of the teams that are similar to the Giants in their record, like the Dallas Cowboys are. And if you can find an identity on one of those teams, I'd be shocked. Very surprised.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. Of course, Jerry Jones, they're gonna, Jerry Jones. I blame Jerry Jones for his the people coming after him because he likes to talk and he likes to go on radio shows when it benefits him. But when it doesn't, well, then he has a snooty attitude towards the media. But they said to him about the sunlight being in CeeDee Lamb's eyes on one of the passes he dropped, and you could see the sun was in his eyes and he just couldn't see the ball. And when the reporters asked, when you built this place, did you take in consideration the angle of the sun? And he said, yes, he did. He said that, what do you want me to do? Tear it all down and rebuild it? I don't think about where the moon is at night when we're playing it. I mean, stupid answers. And I think Jerry Jones is just frustrated. I think that, I don't like feeling sorry for any Dallas Cowboy, but I kind of feel sorry for Mike McCarthy, man. I mean, with all the injuries, with all this nonsense going on in the locker room, out of the locker room, and whether you like it or not, the dude is a Super Bowl champion. He's done something that Micah Parsons has never seen before. He actually went to the Super Bowl. And when you brought up Emmitt Smith and some of the other Dallas greats that went to the Super Bowl, the biggest criticism they have of Micah Parsons and people like him is, listen, you're living off our legend, man. You haven't done it yet. Stop talking like you have.
Yeah. You have to make your own identity. You have to make your own, it's like anything else in life. I don't care what you do for a living. You have to forge your own way. And right now, the Dallas Cowboys are not forging their own way. And again, coming into the season, Jerry Jones pushed all of his chips in. I think I said this a few weeks ago. He pushed all his chips in. We are going to go with this team. He paid his quarterback a lot of money. So Prescott, so he got his. And they're going to be, I haven't looked at their cap situation yet, but if this is what they have, this could be a long drought for the Cowboys.
It sure could. It sure could. I don't know what to say about Jerry Jones says he wants to win. Some coaches, he says, they don't care about winning. I don't think Jerry Jones really cares about winning anymore either. Really don't. It doesn't act like it.
No.
He doesn't act like it. He's like, whatever. I mean, I think he wants the Dallas Cowboys to be the focus of the NFL. They're the Dallas Cowboys. We are the shining star of the NFL. And that's why, I will go on radio every day after a win or after a loss. I think that's what it is. The more attention he gets, the more people that might come in, the more maybe deals he makes with promotions or some kind of companies. I don't know. It's a mystery to me, Bobby. So the other game we can talk about here is the Steelers and the Commanders. As the Steelers win 28-27, game could have gone either way. To me, the best game on this Sunday anyway. It was like a foot that they had that first down when Hurts makes the catch to tight end, doesn't get his knee down or doesn't push ahead, his knee goes down, and they get fourth down. There was a big play where the defense jumped off sides at the end of the game where, Pittsburgh, everyone knew that's what they were going to do, try to get you.
I was shocked.
And he jumps off sides. And, a good game. When do we stop saying Washington? Good game, moral victory. I mean, you're playing good. It's your first year. We didn't expect this. Well, now we're at week 11 coming up now. They're in it. They should make the playoffs. But when do we stop saying, hey, great game, good moral victory, we'll give you the trophy, the trophy of the participation trophy award. When do we stop saying this?
Probably if they're in the playoffs. If they're a playoff team, and it's funny, we talked about the NFC East. We talked about the beginning of the season. We're talking about, maybe one team will come out. We thought maybe just the winner would come out. I kind of think now two will come out. I think the Eagles and the Redskins are gonna make the playoffs. One winning the division, one is one of the wild cards. Both teams are good, and it's so funny because 2 weeks ago, if you had said to me, which team do you like better to win the East? I would have said Washington, but I think I like the Eagles right now at this juncture of the season to win the NFC East. I think they're a more balanced team. I think they have more playmakers on both sides of the ball. They're experienced in the play. They're an experienced playoff football team, where the Redskins are not. And I kind of see the Redskins as making the playoffs and maybe one and done, and then going what you said. We had a good season. This is not bad. We'll build on this, and I think I see the Eagles doing a little deeper run. I think the Lions and the Eagles are on a collision course for the NFC Championship game today. If it was in today, that's what I would pick.
I would agree with that, except there's another team out there that everybody thought was good and the bad, and then good and the bad, and the Jets find out how good they are as the Cardinals just open a can of whoop ass on the Jets, 41-6. They beat them in every category, Bobby. I mean, they ran on them, they passed on them. Kyler Murray looked like a all-pro out there. He's a Hall of Famer just based off that game. I mean, and Aaron Rodgers and stop with Devontae Adams already. The guy is not that good anymore. He's old. He's not that fast. His hands are questionable. I mean, he's not that good. He might be a friend of Aaron's, and they might hang out and stay at the house together, but he is not what they thought he was going to be. And of course, Aaron Rodgers, maybe he comes back next year. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know.
I was just going to ask you, do you think because I caught the end of the game and I watched the highlights today of the Jets game. And do you think they want Rodgers back? I mean, maybe it's not going to be his decision. Maybe they're going to, as I said earlier today when we first started the show, I thought maybe that they're going to be dipping their toe back in that quarterback well when the draft comes around, because they're going to have a high draft pick, and they're probably going to look for that the third time in a handful of years that they're going to try to find a quarterback in the draft. Do they want Rodgers back, do you think? I mean, I don't know if they cut him, the ramifications for the cap, I don't know. But I know he signed a big contract. I don't know if there's an escape clause after a couple of years, which they normally are. When you sign someone of that age, there's kind of an escape clause where the money's been put up front. I don't know his contract situation with the Jets. They're a similar team to the Giants are. They're a team that doesn't know how to win, like the Giants don't know how to win, and that's just my opinion. They didn't tackle well yesterday. Murray, I don't know how he's about 5 feet tall. He looks that way, and he's out there with all these monsters around him, and he looks like a little kid playing in the NFL. But he's a hell of an arm, and he does things with his legs. And the Jets are a team similar to us that they're looking through the forest and trying to find their way through.
I think it's up to Aaron Rodgers whether he comes back or not. If they cut him, I think they get dead cap. They're going to have the dead cap. So I think it's up to Aaron Rodgers whether he comes back or not. And I talked to, of course, Jack Hirsch is on my show, co-host, big Jet fan. And, and he's pretty depressed. Yesterday was his birthday. That was his birthday gift. So he's pretty depressed about what happened with the Jets. But, I think they're stuck with Aaron Rodgers. It's up to him. The only problem, Bobby, with Aaron Rodgers right now, he's going to go in the Hall of Fame. We know that.
Of course.
But his legacy. His last year with the Packers, didn't play well. No. Gets hurt. No. Out. This year, doesn't play well. Next year, does he put it on the line again? Does he want to walk away a this is what is going to be talked about, right? I mean, this is going to be part of his legacy after he goes in the Hall of Fame. What are people going to talk about? How bad he finished his career. And not that a lot of quarterbacks have ended their career well. Johnny Unitas, for right off the top of my head, didn't. But there were a couple that did win Super Bowls. Jim Plunkett did. I'm trying to think of the other guy for Tampa who came back and he played well. But yeah, but I mean, this to me is the biggest decision of Aaron's life after the season. Does he want to go out as a loser? And one of the reasons why the Jets imploded, or does he want to come back and try to straighten out this record? What do you think?
If I was Aaron, I probably would cut bait right now. I think this should be his last year. He's a championship quarterback. He has nothing to prove. He's probably made all the money he needs for his family, his grandkids, his great grandkids. I mean, they're all set. If you know, but all these guys have egos, and you know, if he thinks that what you're saying, and maybe I can give this one more shot. I don't know what the Jets would promise him as far as a personnel standpoint. Again, I don't know their cap, how they can go out and they might pitch, you know, we're going to go out and get this player, or we're going to target these 3 players, and hopefully we'll get 2 of them, or 4 players, we'll get 3 of them. And, you know, we feel this will put us over the top. That might entice him to come back for another season. I think when he sits down with the management there, they're going to have to in my opinion, they're going to have to entice him to come back, that we can make a run at this. We want you as our quarterback. We're going after these guys here, and we think these people are going to put us over the top, and we want you there with us. Other than that, I don't know any reason why we want to come back.
Well,
if they stay status quo, what would you want to come back for? If they're going to blow it up, they've already gone through their head coach. I said to you weeks ago, if you know you're not a good football team, if you're firing your head coach not even midway through the season, and which they did. I don't know if they're going to move on from the general manager, which they might. Then now they have to hire a new coach. I don't know if Aaron's going to have any say in who's going to be his coach. There's a lot of factors, I think, that are going to have to determine if he comes back or not come back. And a lot's got to be on the Jets' plan, what they want to do at the coaching level, what they want to do at the GM level, and who they're going to target in free agency with monies they might have or not have. I don't know what their cap situation is, but they're going to have to show Aaron a plan that we're going to be better next year. And if I'm Aaron Rodgers and they don't do that, I got to go.
Well, there's one thing that I would make sure if I'm the owner. I'm letting you know we're drafting a quarterback.
Yeah, and that might be part of it.
If you don't like that, and right now, yeah, it might be. One other team from around here. Go ahead, Bob.
No, I was just going to say I don't see Aaron Rodgers at this juncture of his career being a mentor to a rookie quarterback. That's just my opinion.
Maybe they'll get Zach Wilson. They play better than Zach. Maybe they go get him.
They had the same record.
Yes. In fact, I think Zach's might be better.
I think he might be one. I think he might be one game better. Maybe he comes back.
Maybe. Who knows? One other team that's from around here, the Patriots and the Chicago Bears. Talk about a team unraveling. The Patriots sacked, Caleb Williams 9 times. They literally beat the hell out of this guy. Chicago's supposed to have a good running game. They're supposed to have good receivers. They're supposed to have this defense that is, one of the best defenses in the league. And New England just comes out there and it says, you only can make 3 points against us. And it wasn't that New England is an overpowering great team either. I mean, they're a good team. They play well together. But, they showed Chicago that, listen, you guys aren't as good as you think you are.
No, I agree. And, of course, they got Williams as the quarterback who they picked number 1 overall. And they got Drake May playing for the Patriots. And Patriots now have 3 wins now. Is it 3 wins or 4 wins?
Yeah,
3 wins now. And I think they've won 2 in a row and maybe break up the Patriots. What's maddening to me is how they moved on from Tom Brady, moved on from a lot of defensive players and offensive players, and they have a better record than we do. How's that?
That bothers you, really? Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Where I live, I'm around a lot of Patriot fans.
Yeah. You just got to remind them of the Super Bowls, Bob. And
yeah, I always do. But they actually, once I say I'm a Giants fan, I kind of get dirty looks anyway.
Yes.
So I don't have to remind them of that too much. My stepkid, one of our stepkids is a huge Patriot fan, and I'm happy for him. He seemed to have a good day yesterday. He stopped by, watched the Giant game with me until the fumble happened. He goes, "Okay, Bob, I'm out of here. See you later."
It was good till then.
He left. He left to watch the Patriot game. Okay, see you later. But yeah, no, I talked to the Patriots. They got a new coach, a rookie quarterback. They have a lot of young players there, and who knows? Maybe their future is brighter than ours is. I don't know.
Well, yes, I think it is too, Bobby. I think their future is brighter than ours. Let me see what I got here. I want to check the Patriots schedule.
Until we get
what the Giants. I know. Right.
Until
I know the Bears schedule goes from almost the easiest in the beginning to the toughest at the end. So they're going to have a problem. They got to play. They've got to play Green Bay twice, Detroit twice, and I mean they got their work cut out for them as far as the rest of their season goes. God, I got it. They got to show me week one. I don't give a shit about week one. So the Patriots are. Let me see. The Patriots are going to be playing the Rams. That's a tough game. They got the Dolphins. It's a division game. The Colts, a bye. The Cardinals, the Bills. Oh, don't get easier for them either. So
they've got a tough division anyways.
Do what you can do, man. Maybe you grab a couple games. Who knows? But probably not. You know what I mean? But listen, the Bears. There's another question about their offensive coordinator, their head coach. Are they going to fire these guys? I don't think they fire them before the season's out. The biggest problem with the Bears is that they, I've talked about this ad nauseum, is that they decide that they're going to fire the head coach, and then when they get a new head coach, they fire the GM, and then when they get a GM, they fire so they're never on the same page drafting a quarterback that's theirs. That happened to Trubisky. It happened to Fields last year. Hell, Fields stats as a Bear are better than Caleb Williams right now. So I mean,
now is Fields' contract up this year? Because again, maybe the Giants look at free agency. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they might look at a Fields or someone like that. Maybe the next Giants quarterback is already in the league right now, because we were talking about this. How some people have moved on from other teams, and their quarterbacks, and they're having a lot of success. Baker Mayfield comes to mind. So I mean, maybe the Giants quarterback is not in the draft. Maybe he's already here somewhere. I don't know.
Maybe we'll see what happens, but. As I'm saying right now, they haven't been able to develop a quarterback since the 1920s, the Bears, that is, and it just continues on and continues on, and again, I blame the owner for that. You've got to think a little bit. I mean, common sense, for God's sakes. Fields to the Giants, I don't know. I mean, he had a decent year for the Bears his last year. He came back. They won the last 8 of 9. And he played pretty well for the Steelers. I don't know, Bobby. Maybe.
I'm just throwing it out. I'll keep throwing names out there between now and the end of the year and see if anything sticks to the wall.
All right. Okay. All right. That sounds good. Listen, I think the Giants. I would rather them get a rookie so they can start from the ground up and not have to break old habits and all that stuff. But Fields is an exciting younger quarterback that can do a lot with his legs, and we got a guy that can do a lot with his legs, and that hasn't worked out. So we'll see.
I mean, Daniel Jones, he plays hard. I almost feel bad for him, and just like I felt bad for Tracy yesterday. He's crying on the sidelines after he fumbled the ball. But I almost feel, and you shouldn't feel bad for people who sign contracts for $140 million. But
Right.
I almost feel bad for him in a way. Almost, I felt bad for Dave Brown when he was with us, because it just seemed to me they never put a team around him. Not that he was any good.
Really? Dave Brown?
Remember Dave
No,
Brown?
yes, he was from the same school Jones is from, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
God, that guy sucked.
But I still felt bad for him. I just
Bobby,
did.
when I interviewed Phil Simms, I talked about, the quarterbacks that he
He
went up
took over
against.
for Phil.
And he's very humble. Phil is very humble, and he really is. And he said you knew who the best quarterback was on the field. Everybody knew. Never said a bad word about Jeff Hostetler. Didn't even say a bad word about Scott Rutledge. And I turned to Dave Brown, and he smiled. I said, come on, Phil, let's be honest, right? I mean, what the hell were they thinking bringing Dave Brown in for you? And he couldn't. He knew he didn't say anything bad about Dave Brown, but let me tell you, he was agreeing with what I was saying. I mean, that was ridiculous.
Oh no, I'm not saying he was any good. I just felt bad for him. That's all. I remember there was one game and Tiki had a really good game, and he threw the ball really well. He ran off the field and he's screaming at Jim Fossils. I don't know what he was saying, but he's really happy. And I thought to myself, well, good. Well, maybe the kid had maybe this is his coming out party. It never happened.
No. His coming out party was at home when maybe he came out in some other way. I'm not sure. But, that's not even right. I'm sorry.
That's not even right, man.
It's not. It's not right at all. Hey, Mac, it's not too late to switch to the Vikings. Rick Sherlock, one of our best and most loyal fans out there. Listen, Rick, when Parkinen went to the Vikings were my second team. When the Giants got their ass knocked out of playoffs, I followed the Vikings all the time when Parkinen was there. I mean, I was a kid. I loved my Giants, but and besides, with Sam Darnold, I don't know if I can follow the Vikings, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean he's having a decent year. There's another quarterback who changed, who got to change the scenery, and and I don't know.
Yesterday, Bobby. I mean Sunday. I mean, come on, 5 interceptions. What do you throw? But anyway, folks, thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Rick, for commenting. Thanks for all of the look-sees, and hopefully likes and shares later. Love doing the show for you. We'll be back next week. We're here every Monday at 5 p.m. Am I saying it right, Bob? I hope we're at 5 p.m.
5 p.m.
Trivia question. I knew you would answer that. What is your guess, Bob? The first team.
I'm going to guess that they played the Chicago Bears.
And that's a great guess. Packers would have been a good guess. But the team that they played was the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets. Yes.
Oh, that was my second choice.
That was your second choice? Yes. It might have been mine, too, if I knew it. But anyway, folks, again, thanks for tuning in. Have a great Monday night. We will see you back this week. Same bat time, same bat channel. And we will talk about some good times with the Giants because we have nothing else to say about this team. Yeah, we do, but oh my God. Anyway, folks, have a great one. We'll see you soon. If you're going out tonight, stay out of trouble. But other than that, enjoy the game.